Hello everyone and welcome along to a different view of the Rugby World Cup. Today a special video for you all with the end of the group stage just coming up over the last couple of days, and we have said goodbye to 12 teams who really, let's be fair, have entered our lives and have stolen our hearts on a lot of occasions. We have to say goodbye to 12 sides following what has been an absolute amazing 3 weeks of international rugby. But although we say goodbye, all is not forgotten, as this is another chance for these big players from these small teams to have one last impact on our rugby lives. That's right, the 12 teams that have departed, we are going to make up a first 15 of knocked out sides from Rugby World Cup 2015. So of course, let's have a look at the 12 sides who are departing the Rugby World Cup right now. We have from Group A, England, Fiji and Uruguay, who are on their way home. Japan, Samoa and USA from Pool B. Then we have Georgia, Tonga and Namibia from Group C. And Italy, Romania and Canada out of Group D. So here we have what my opinion is of the best 15 from performances throughout their matches at Rugby World Cup 2015. So just remember, keep it in mind, this is my opinion, of course, is who I thought performed the best at the Rugby World Cup. If you have your best performing 15, feel free to leave it in the comments as well. I'll be more than happy to have a look at them, and we can even have some further discussions about who you all thought performed best from the Rugby World Cup as well. So without further ado, let's dig straight into it. Have a look at my first 15 of knocked out sides from Rugby World Cup 2015. So we're going to start things off in the front row, and on the loose head side, we're going with the first player coming out of Tonga, and that is Soani Tungahuia, the big man. Now this man is an absolute unit. He is a bulldozer, but he knows how to scrum, and that is a real massive part of course, being a prop. But his work around the field, his size, his power, is a big part of how this big man plays, and he was instrumental to the Tongan 15 as well, a big part, and I thought from the smaller side who did struggle through parts, he did a fantastic job and made himself well and truly known in the rugby world. Alongside him in the front row will be the hooker, going to our first entrant from Uruguay, Carlos Abelea. The Uruguayan hooker I thought was good throughout the competition. He was consistent, he scored tries, he was hard to stop, but his scrummaging and his ability to hook the ball onto his side under pressure as well for a scrum from Uruguay, who, you know, they had some tough matches. So let's be fair, they were in the pool of death as well. Don't forget about that. Everyone was a lot better than Uruguay. Fiji, their closest opponent, still hammered them, and they had, of course, the big three, Australia, England and Wales to compete with. Uruguay, I thought, were under the pump all day long, and anyone who stands out from a team that gets hammered like that or day in, day out and can still put in a top-class performance deserves an honourable mention. Alongside him, on the tight head side of the front row, is our first man from the United States of America. From the USA Eagles goes to Titi Lemasatili. Now this man, the American, very, very young, very, very raw, full of power, full of passion, full of enthusiasm. He is going to be a mainstay in this Eagles team for a long time as well. I think that's a very good front row of players that no one had probably heard of before this tournament kicked off. To have Tungahuia, Abelea and Lemasatili in this front row, it's not something you'd pick up, but I think they are 3 very, very good performing front rowers from Tonga, Uruguay and USA. Into the second row, and I think one half of this was extremely easy to pick up, and that was Leone Nakarawa. The Fijian second rower was an absolute machine. He was superb, sublime, extraordinary, awesome, amazing, cool, every single superlative you want. You could pick a World 15 team right now from the Rugby World Cup, everyone has performed, and Nakarawa would be in that team regardless. Whether it was every single country and every single player in the world, Nakarawa would take that second row spot, no question whatsoever. He's been that good. His play just in the Fijian field, just open play, his line out jumping, his work in the scrums in the front and the forward pack as well, simply second to none. Possibly one of the best players so far at the Rugby World Cup. Alongside him will be our first entry from Japan, going to Luke Thompson. Now here's part of a very, very good forward pack from the Japanese. Him, the likes of Leach, Hendrik Tui, just to mention a couple, you know, they were very, very impactful players. I found this quite hard to fill the second rower spot. Not too many others really come to mind. I thought maybe Launchbury from England was fairly decent as well, but didn't really dominate a game at all. And I think half the reason Japan did so well was simply because of their forward pack, and half of that reason was for their second row and their back row as well. Japan, you know, it's fair enough that they have a few players who are represented in the squad. So we'll go on to the back row, and I think this is easily the easiest three positions to fill. Three men here. I'll just name all three at once because you cannot argue with this. Jagsberger, Michael Leach, and Mamuka Gudgodze. The number 8 from Georgia, Michael Leach from Japan, and Jagsberger from Namibia. You can't argue with those three. They are just that good. These guys would go into a normal, you know, tier 2 international side. You know, a Scotland or an Italy would gobble these guys up without too much question whatsoever. One man I thought was disappointed not to miss out, or I was disappointed to leave out, I should say, was Markovi from Romania. Another back row. I thought this was where probably the biggest strength was, and where these minnow sides really do excel is in their back row. A lot of good players who could feel unlucky to miss out, but I think Berger, Leach and Gudgodze, absolutely sublime players, all three of them. Gudgodze has to be up there for one of the players of the tournament, regardless, out of every side. Alongside Nakarawa, he would probably fit into a world team right now. Into the back line, and we start things off with our first Italian going to Eduardo Gori. Now, this man was simply electric. In his first matchup, he was sublime. He carved the defence to ribbons. He was consistent throughout, and he's a real spark in the Italian backline. His combination with Tommaso Allen is crucial. How these Italians go forward. I think he's really grown over the last couple of years as well, become a lot better player. Confidence has grown in him as well to take the line on himself, and we've seen in this World Cup just how good Eduardo Gori can be for Italy. Disappointing to miss out. I think Kenatali from Japan was very good as well, and Takalua from Tonga. Takalua was extremely good, and it was a toss-up between Takalua and Gori, but I think Gori was just that little bit extra, that little bit better player overall than the youngster Takalua from Tonga. Outside him, I thought this one possibly could go down as a bit left field, but I'm going with Thinis Kotze, the Namibian fly half. Now this man, there's no question about his ability to kick a goal. Now, there's a lot of players in this rest of this backline who can kick a goal, and they're pretty good at it as well, but just a Namibian player that can kick a goal, that can get his team in a good position, that's something they can really build off. And I think Kotze, he guided his team around very well. You know, they were under the pump for most of their tournament as well, to be fair to them. He guided them, he sparked them, he kicked extraordinary. Some of the goal kicks and shots at goal he had were just mind-blowing, out of this world. Touchline, no worries, easily guided through the wind. Some may disagree with that, but I was impressed with what Kotze brought from the Namibian camp, and he's my number 10 of the knocked out 15. Now, the centre pairing, I've gone with one man from Japan, one man from Samoa. At inside centre, I've got Hiromichi Takikawa. Now, Takikawa was a versatile player. He played at outside centre, he played at fly half, and he spent some time at fullback and even on the wing. He's versatile throughout, but his ability to cover is probably his strongest asset. When he plays at inside centre, he can cover 10, he can get width, he breaks the line, he directs play very, very well. Takikawa, I think, was a massive part of how Japan played in their backline. He was that linchpin that was always somewhere in that backline, that always stuck the team together like glue, and he was possibly their linchpin, like I said, in the backline that held everything together, directed the play left and right through the Japanese line. Outside him, I've got Paul Perez from Samoa. Now, Samoa had a very disappointing World Cup, but Paul Perez was outstanding. He was hard to pull down. He was often the only shining light out of a Samoan match, and that just tells you wonders when one man stands out from a team like that, how much of an impact he has for his side. So I've got Tarikawa and Perez in my centre pairing. Now we'll go out to the wingers, and we have one from Fiji, one from Canada. You can probably guess who those two are. Nemani Nadolo will be on the left wing. Do I even need to explain why? Simply outstanding player. I was a bit sceptical of him at the Crusaders. I thought he was just on the end of a really good backline, and, you know, they can often make not so great players look good. But I think Nadolo has excelled himself at this World Cup, and he is simply one of the best outside backs in World Rugby. Single-handedly destroyed teams, no question whatsoever. And the other winger on the right side, this is another no-brainer. DTH Van der Merwe. This man, he is extraordinary. I think another player who could easily go down for man of the tournament so far. Single-handedly, once again, led the line for Canada. They had a decent little team, but they would have been nothing without DTH Van der Merwe. Easily their best player, scored a massive amount of tries. That try he scored off the kick-off as well, where he just carved up the left wing, had support, stayed on his feet, carried up to support his support, and scoring that try. Just extraordinary what Van der Merwe can do. He's been around in the Northern Hemisphere club competitions before. He's good, but I think he really arrived on the international stage and really got notice here of how good Van der Merwe really is. He is a fantastic player. Canada need him every single day. Teams, they need to build on Van der Merwe. They need to get everyone else at his level, and Canada could be a really good team in future. I think Van der Merwe, a joy to watch over the Rugby World Cup. Canada, you have a superstar there. Take great care of DTH. He is an absolute phenomenal man and a superb rugby player. While we're talking about men who single-handedly have directed sides and could be in line for player of the tournament, another one. Like, it has to be a team of, you know, the best of the rest when you're going on about players of the tournament. And to be able to say this about teams from minnow countries like Canada, Georgia, Namibia, Japan, and the likes of that, you know, is huge. To say that these guys have easily outplayed the big names. You have to say that 2/3 of this team in an overall World Cup 15, out of every single team so far, you could say that a good portion of this squad here would be in there easily themselves. So we're going for the fullback, and this man I'll put in here, no question about it at all. Ayuma Goromaro, the Japanese fullback. Now this man, Goromaro, do I need to explain this one either? If you've watched the World Cup, you know that Goromaro has been superb. No question, goal kicking on point, clearance kicking. Oh, his last match of the World Cup where he played against Japan, his kicking for touch was outstanding. He grew in confidence, he grew in ability. He is one of the best players going around this World Cup and in this team. He has to be a starting fullback for any side. He's outplayed Israel Folau. Who is Israel Folau? Goromari's got him down pat, no problems whatsoever. The big names have not fired yet. You can say they're saving themselves for the knockout stages. When it really begins, these minnows, this is all they have to play for, and that's why they give 150% from the get-go. But Goromaru, absolutely sublime. One of the best players of the Rugby World Cup so far, along with a number of others in this side. Some players who are unlucky to miss out from the other side, some of note down, of course, Markovi, who I mentioned earlier, from Romania. And the backline is where most of them come from. Scrum halves, I mentioned again, Kinatali and Takalua. But we've also got Kavirikashvili from Georgia. I thought he was pretty good as well. Versatility from him definitely was a strong point, and Kavirikashvili is a man who's been around for a long time. He's been around the traps, he knows how to play the game, and he was a strength to Georgia in their backs, which they need him, and he was very much an influential figure for them. Vaianu from Tonga, the winger, he didn't play until it was ruled out he took Vainikolo's space in their second match, and wow, he made an instant impact and was massive for the Tongans. on the wing. And another man from the centres, I thought Garcia from Italy. Unlucky to miss out, but there's some really good names in there. Some really good form players. All those players that missed out as well. Very, very good players. Plenty of names you could have gone with. Rizzo from Italy in the front row. Gallardini and also another Italian, and Aguero. The Italian front row I thought was pretty decent. Hearn from Canada, the centre, was pretty good as well. And Talafo from Samoa, a pretty decent effort from him as well. Plenty more names who have been good from this best of the rest, the knocked out 15 from Rugby World Cup 2015. So let me know, what do you think? Do you agree with my selections? Do you disagree? Who would your knocked out 15 add on to there or remove, or what would your 15 ultimately be? Let me know in the comments or hit me up on Twitter if you want to. Let me know what you think as well, and I'll have a great fun reading all your guys' top 15 players of the knocked out teams from Rugby World Cup. So thank you for tuning in and watching this. Hope you have enjoyed it. A little, hopefully short one this time from what we've had recently. But that is my knocked out 15 from the Rugby World Cup. Let me know yours, and I will see you all next time for plenty more Rugby World Cup content. Until then, thank you for tuning in and watching. And until I see you again, take care.